After sneaking back home, my eldest brother, Viking Kwok, was sitting there mending a net. Hearing me say that I had borrowed a carriage, he nodded and advised, "You've been running around and working hard all day. You two wash up and get some sleep early. Wash your hands and feet and get some rest. Tomorrow, remember the rule of leaving early and returning early. Absolutely do not linger on the mountain and take risks when the mist descends." "Oh, that's right, Xiao Long." Viking Kwok pointed at the cloth bundle on the table. "While I was free just now, I finished scanning that water rat for you. Definitely don't be stingy with it. Take it to the purchasing station in the district and see how much you can sell it for. Use that money to buy some food for the road." Hearing the whispers, my sister-in-law, Luang Ningnaimi, came up from the room, carrying a cloth bag and said kindly, "I'll wake up early tomorrow to light the stove and steam some sponge cakes for you too. Take some steamed cakes along to keep your stomachs full. I'll put them neatly in this bag. Just wear it across your shoulders so they're easy to reach. Remember, the mountain trip is tiring and starving work, so you must eat them while you're on the way. Absolutely don't be stingy. Don't save them and go hungry until you get sick, hear me?" Taking the bag my sister-in-law handed me, a wave of warm thoughts welled up in my chest. Nodding, I said softly, "Yes, you've worked hard, sister-in-law. We understand. You and brother should go to sleep first." At night, Dai Trang and I lay together on a worn straw bed, our hearts anxious with anticipation for tomorrow's trip to the mountain. Just as dawn was breaking, the faint rays of sunlight hadn't yet had time to dispel the thick layer of fog, and I was already awake. Hurriedly putting on a cotton jacket, I gently shook Dai Trang's shoulder to wake him. The two of us quickly got dressed, grabbed our things, gathered our spirits, and hurried over to the west wing. By now, the kitchen was glowing with red firelight, and sister-in-law Luang and I brought down a hot bowl of fish soup from the stove, steam billowing as she set it on the table. Looking at the fragrant bowl of fish soup on a freezing, winter morning, Dai Trang's eyes suddenly reddened. A sense of bitterness and self-pity welled up inside him as he thought of the coldness in his own home. He hurriedly turned his face away, rushing to the basin to wash his face to hide the tears that were about to fall. After finishing breakfast, elder brother Viking Kwok carefully rolled up the water rat skin cleaned and skinned the night before, wrapping it tightly into a small bundle and tucked it into my pocket. While sister-in-law Luang Ningnaimi thoughtfully hung a crossbody cloth bag over my shoulder, containing several pho gao and sponge cakes, freshly steamed, still radiating warmth. She patted the bag and reminded me carefully, "Going up the mountain takes a lot of effort. If you get hungry on the way, remember to eat the cakes. Don't be stingy and starve yourself until you're exhausted." I nodded and smiled. "Yes, don't worry, sister-in-law." Not long after Dai Trang and I had set off, the Wei family received their first visitor. It was the eldest sister-in-law of the Lu family, a woman famous for being talkative and gossiping in the production team. As soon as she entered the yard, her mouth was smacking, speaking loudly for Luang Ningnaimi Gahiro me. "My, I heard your brother-in-law was kicked out of the factory and sent back." "My brother-in-law? Early this morning I saw him clattering to borrow a horse cart, saying he's going up the mountain to haul wood. Oh, my, isn't this village enough for him to cause trouble, or what, that he now goes up the mountain to pull stunts for people to mock him? But in the past, I really was a wastrel, and everyone in the production team knew this well. No wonder sister-in-law Lu came all the way here to be sarcastic, deliberately trying to provoke my sister-in-law. She was certain that with her usual temperament, Luang Ningnaimi would definitely join and give her brother-in-law a harsh scolding, but this time, the result left her quite taken aback. While Luang Ningnaimi sat on the cushion, her hands still swiftly sewing the shoe sole, she calmly replied with a smile this time, "Our Xiao Long truly wants to go up the mountain to gather some firewood to help the family. Since he's thoughtful enough to do that as his seniors, we must naturally support him with all our hearts." Sister-in-law Sao widened her eyes in total surprise. She thought to herself, why has this Luang Ningnaimi changed her personality today? Her brother-in-law was fired from the factory. The 50 dong the Wei family spent on the job is gone. Yet she acts as nonchalant as if nothing had happened. If it were me, I would have screamed and torn him apart long ago. Seeing the Sao's face fall, Luang Ningnaimi pulled the thread while leisurely adding, "Everyone makes mistakes in life, sister. As long as they learn and improve, it's fine. I see that Xiao Long has changed a lot this time. Being fired might not be a bad thing. As the saying goes, a fall into a pit. Getting a bit wiser, are we?" The two women were going back and forth, when a loud voice suddenly rang out from outside the gate. "Hello, eldest sister, I'm here." Hearing the familiar call, Luang Ningnaimi felt a bit excited, hurriedly putting down the shoe she was sewing, standing up to answer. "Is that Van and Gok? Come inside quickly to get warm." The person who just arrived was the biological brother of Luang Ningnaimi, Luang Van and Gok. He walked in carrying a heavy cloth bag, placed it in the corner, took off his cotton hat covered in frost and snow, nodded with a playful smile to greet sister-in-law Sao, then turned to ask his sister, "Where's my brother-in-law? I heard rumors everywhere that V Long is back. Was he fired from the factory?" Luong and I also didn't expect the family's bad news to spread as fast as the wind. Since an outsider, Mrs. Sao, was sitting there, she couldn't say much, only nodding slightly and vaguely. "Your brother-in-law is busy cleaning the east room. It's so early and cold. Why did you make the trip here?" Waiting until sister-in-law Sao got bored, snooped around for a bit and then said goodbye, Luong Van and Gok finally approached his sister, lowering his voice to speak truthfully. "Parents heard the news. They were worried V Long would make you suffer, so they told me to come visit everyone and bring some supplies along. Dad told me to bring some flour. And here's 20 dong in cash. V Long came back and caused trouble, then complained that your firewood reserve definitely won't last through the winter. Dad's intention is for you to take these 20 dong for now, to buy some coal from the production team first. Try to endure this cold spell and figure things out in spring." Hearing her younger brother speak, Fuang and Gaitme immediately recognized the resentment and contempt for V Long hidden in every word. She smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth, pushing the stack of money back into Van and Gok's hand. "No need, little brother." Early this morning, V Long went to borrow a horse carriage and went up the mountain to haul wood. Today he will definitely be able to bring the wood back. We'll have enough firewood for the whole winter. Parents don't need to worry. As for your brother-in-law, he's cleaning fish in the kitchen over there. When you go home later, take a few big fish for our parents to nourish themselves." Luong Van and Gok's eyes immediately lit up. In the middle of this freezing winter, where did the fish come from, sister? V Long took his friends to Tiu Hai too to break the ice and catch them. He caught quite a lot. Luong and Gaitme replied proudly. Luong Van and Gok curled his lip, still not convinced. Then it must have been quite a struggle, right? The weather is bone-chillingly cold, like this. Only V Long would be idle enough to think of such things. He's truly only good at causing trouble. Luong Van and Gok inherently had a deep-seated prejudice against me. Both V King Kwok and Luong and Gaitme knew this very well. After all, in the eyes of my mother's family, I really was a useless parasite. Van and Gok spoke while strolling over to the eastern room to find his brother-in-law. But as soon as he pulled the curtain to enter, what caught his eye was a large basin, filled with carp, an enormous crucian carp. Van and Gok was stunned, his jaw dropping. Brother-in-law. Do you really have this much fish?" V King Kwok was busily scaling the fish. He looked up and smiled warmly. "Van and Gok, you're here?" All of this fish was caught by Xiao Long when he went to drill through the ice and haul the nets yesterday. I didn't expect it either, in the middle of winter, to drill just 2 ice holes and haul in such a large catch. Every single one of them is firm and plumb. This morning before leaving, Xiao Long specifically said that when he returns, he will choose some good fish to give to your parents. Oh, that's right, besides the fish, there are also 2 partridges and wild chickens. At this moment, Luong Van and Gok truly couldn't believe his ears. His eyes widened in shock. "Are you saying all this fish was caught by V Long? And there are even partridges too?" Seeing the expression of jaw-dropping amazement from his brother-in-law, V King Kwok felt like laughing a little, an indescribable pride welling up inside him. That's right. Even though he was laid off by the factory this time, his character has truly changed a lot. The Bai V Kwong, who was sitting there munching on a cake, also wiped his nose and proudly chimed in. "Uncle, the partridges were indeed caught by my youngest uncle. My mom stewed them with potatoes, and they were absolutely delicious." V King Kwok wiped his hands on his apron, took a straw rope and strung together 10 big fish, handing them to Luong Van and Gok. "Van and Gok, take these 10 fish home. In winter, stew some fish soup for Mom and Dad to warm their bellies. But before Tet, we're planning to make another trip. For Tet, I will bring fresh fish to give to your family again." Van and Gok took the heavy string of fish, still feeling a bit dazed, and asked his brother-in-law awkwardly. "V Long is going into the mountains to haul wood. Will he be okay, brother? That part of the mountain has few people passing through, and the roads are treacherous. If something happens..." V King Kwok sat on the edge of the brick bed, slowly rolling a cigarette with more shredded tobacco. He struck a match, took a deep puff, and then spoke calmly. "Don't worry, Xiao Long has changed a lot since he came back. From running around to borrow the team's horse carriage, to organizing the supplies, he handled everything himself perfectly. He's grown up now, let him fend for himself. Besides, there's nothing else to do during the idle winter season. Van and Gok sighed. It's just a shame about losing that factory job in the city for nothing. There's nothing to regret, it's just that factory job in the city was wasted. Viking Kwok waved his hand and exhaled smoke. I lost a job opportunity, but in exchange, Xiao Long fell and stood up on his own, learning a lesson about how to be a man. To me, that is worth it. While Viking Kwok firmly believed in the transformation of his younger brother, the people in the production team didn't think so at all. After only one night, word of my reckless carriage rental had spread throughout every village street and alleyway. That prodigal son of the Wei family just got his layoff compensation and is already acting out, spending money to rent the team's horse carriage, insisting on going up the mountain to haul firewood. Let's see if he comes back this afternoon with a tearful face, empty-handed. Quite a few people are standing by with folded arms, waiting to see me make a fool of myself for everyone. But I sat on the horse carriage, holding the reins, my mind calm and unbothered. At the same time, Dao Dai Trang was perched on a bale of hay in the back of the carriage. He watched how I handled the reins, his face filled with absolute admiration. Brother Long, when did you learn to drive a carriage so skillfully? It looks quite impressive. I smiled and replied modestly. There's nothing difficult about this. The road is flat and smooth like this. And the horse old lad chose for me is naturally gentle. Just hold the reins firmly, don't startle it, and keep an eye on it occasionally to keep it straight. Saying it sounds simple and easy, but doing it isn't actually that simple. In my past life, I spent years struggling on the streets, driving everything from tricycles to rickshaws, so I could do this kind of thing with my eyes closed. But of course, I didn't need to explain things too thoroughly to Dai Trang. Driving the rattling cart straight to the district, I looked for the way to the state-owned purchasing station. I pulled the cart over to the side, pulled out a few handfuls of dried grass to scatter on the snow for the horse to snack on, then turned to instruct Dai Trang, stay here and watch the horse cart. I'll take this pelt inside to see how much the station will pay. Dai Trang quickly nodded in agreement. Feeling that he was finally of some use, he probably beat his chest and accepted the task. So I took the muskrat pelt bundle and got off the cart, pushing open the wooden door of the station to enter. It was deserted inside. I walked up to the counter, calling out while opening the cloth bundle, placing the sleek pelt on the glass counter. Comrade, I'd like to ask if your station buys this. The clerk named Tran Hong Quan was leaning over writing and looked up. He squinted, looking me up and down, scrutinizingly, then looked back down at the pelt. A few seconds later, he cleared his throat and asked, Young man, do you know what kind of pelt this is? Muskrat pelt, right? I replied briefly, looking straight at him. This is also called muskrat by some, isn't it? Hearing me rattle off the scientific name, Tran Hong Quan nodded, stroking along and against the soft fur. Satisfaction flashed in his eyes. You're a young man with broad knowledge. And to even be able to skin a pelt, this brand new and intact, not bad skill at all. Yes, I just happened to find this one by chance. Normally, one would have to wait until spring, when the ice melts, for it to be easy to find. But to dig it up in this freezing winter, I can only say I was lucky. I spoke tactfully with a hint of ambiguity. Rolling up the pelt and tucking it away, he offered generously. The quality of this pelt is excellent. For this one, I'll pay you exactly 5 dong as a starter. In the future, if you hunt more beautiful goods like this, just bring them straight here. I'll take them all at this price. This is the highest price I can give you. 5 dong, 5 dong. This price was exactly as I had anticipated. I nodded immediately, attentively accepting the crisp 5 dong bill, tucking it into my inner pocket. I walked back out. When he saw me come out, Dao Dai Trang, who was huddled on the cart, immediately jumped down and asked in a low, curious voice, Is it done, Brother Long? How much did that tiny piece of skin sell for? I gave a mysterious smile, raising a hand with 5 fingers spread out to signal, whispering, 5 dong. Hearing that figure, Dao Dai Trang's eyes bulged, his mouth agape as if his jaw was about to drop. So incredibly expensive? My God, if I could search and find a few more pieces then. Probably have to wait until spring. I patted his shoulder and laughed heartily. Now the ground and lakes are frozen solid. Finding one is already a blessing from the ancestors. Let's go. We're heading to the department store to buy some food before entering the mountains. I led Dai Trang to the front of the department store, taking out a 5 dong bill with a steelworker's image and giving it to him. Dai Trang, you take this money and go inside first. I mean 1 caddy of toasted sesame cakes and 2 high-quality brick tea cakes. After buying, stay inside the store to warm up for a bit, then come out to take over watching the bike. After buying, stay inside the store to warm up for a bit, then come out to take over watching the bike. 1. Dai Trang carefully received the bill with both hands, as reverently as holding a royal decree, and hurried inside. 2. Dai Trang carefully received the bill with both hands, as reverently as holding a royal decree, and hurried inside. Brother Long. A moment later, he excitedly ran out with the goods, muttering calculations. A moment later, he excitedly ran out with the goods, mumbling calculations under the breath. Brother Long. I spent 1 dong, 2 ao, and 8 su on bread. Brick tea was 9 hao. Brother Long. I spent 1 dong, 2 ao, and 8 su on bread. Brick tea was 9 hao. Here is. The total is 2 dong, 1 hao, and 8 su. Here are the items and the change they return. Here are the items and the change they return. I took the change and stuffed it into my pocket. I threw the bag onto the cart, then decisively untied the reins to back it up. Get on, let's go. Now we're heading straight into the mountains. Dao Dai Trang asked curiously, Brother Long, is the road to your old colleague's house near here? I just grunted a yeah to brush it off. No rush to go there yet. Let's drive the car deep into the mountains first. Dao Dai Trang saw my decisiveness and didn't dare to ask more. In his head now, there was only one strong belief. Whatever Brother Long says must be right. Actually, in my previous life, I had woven through this mountain area countless times, so every nook and every stream was extremely familiar. Before long, after driving the cart through a dense pine forest, a valley covered in pristine white snow appeared before my eyes. That was exactly the place I wanted to find this winter. Look, the ethnic minorities' winter campsite is over there. Long Dai Trang shouted excitedly. Then he pointed towards the slope. Brother, I see under the snow over there several large pine logs knocked down by the storm. Why don't we stop the cart and chop them right here? I looked in the direction he was pointing, then pointed the leather whip towards the faint winter campsite in the distance, shaking my head. No, that spot isn't good enough. Go a bit further ahead. Deep into the wintering area is the best position. Let's go there for lunch. Open up our stomachs first, then roll up our sleeves and get to work. Hearing that, Dao Dai Trang widened his eyes, stammering in confusion. Go there for lunch? That place is full of strangers from ethnic tribes. Will they even let us eat, Wam? If we sponge off them, what if they chase us away? I burst out laughing and patted his shoulder to reassure him. Just put your heart back in your chest. Nomadic herders are very hospitable. Besides, we're bringing gifts for our visit. We're not going empty-handed. Saying that, I jerked my chin towards the bag of brick tea and the package of white salt on the horse cart. Only then did Dai Trang hiss, mourning the expense. These 2 items together cost quite a few silver coins, he muttered. This afternoon, the 2 of us could have just munched on sesame cakes to tide us over. There were so many sesame cakes we just bought. Back home, we would only get a bite of that during the Lunar New Year. But seeing my sharp gaze, Dai Trang had to swallow the words he was about to say. If Brother Long had decided to splash the money, then he must have his own profound reasons. There were so many sesame cakes we just bought. Back home, we would only get a bite of that during the Lunar New Year. But seeing my sharp gaze, Dai Trang had to swallow the words he was about to say. If Brother Long had decided to splash the money, then surely he has his own profound reasons. Stopping the horse carriage in front of Odon's felt tent area, as we jumped down to the ground, from inside 2 large tents, 2 large fluffy sheepdogs rushed out, bearing their teeth and barking loudly, echoing through the corner of the forest. Stopping the horse carriage in front of Odon's felt tent area. As I jumped down to the ground, from inside 2 large tents, 2 great fluffy sheepdogs rushed out, bearing their teeth and barking loudly, echoing through the corner of the forest. Hearing the dogs barking, the door of the felt tent slightly opened. A Kyrgyz man around 30 years old, with a sturdy build and ruddy skin from the wind and frost, stepped out. Seeing 2 Han strangers leading a horse carriage, his eyes showed extreme weariness. We took a step forward, flashed a bright smile, and enthusiastically greeted him in a loud voice. Greetings, brother. We came up from the village below to gather some fallen firewood. It's an exhausting journey, and the snow is falling heavily. Could you let us stop by the tent to rest and shelter from the wind for a bit? The middle-aged man frowned, casting his hawk-like eyes, scanning us from head to toe. Seeing that we didn't seem to have any ill intent, he then nodded and waved his hand, pointing to a large wooden stake driven deep into the snow, not far from the tent. Not understanding his intent, I told Dai Trang to pull the cart over and tie the horse's reins securely. Once done, the hospitable man pulled back the thick door curtain, signaling for us to step inside the felt tent. As soon as we crawled in, the light immediately dimmed, but the warmth from the stove in the middle of the tent rising intensely made my body relax comfortably. I took the initiative to take out 2 bricks of tea and a packet of fine salt from my back, respectfully handing them to the middle-aged man with both hands. Smiling sincerely. Greetings to your family. Traveling from afar, I don't have much. This is just a small gift from afar, to give to everyone to warm your stomachs. Seeing the bricks of tea and white salt, things that are extremely precious and expensive in the high mountains during winter. The middle-aged man was slightly startled. His initially tense face immediately relaxed. His eyes showed extreme emotion. Sitting across the stove, an old gray-haired woman and a young woman holding a child also wore bright smiles. Looking at their sparkling eyes, I knew they truly appreciated and really liked this practical gift. The distance was instantly dissolved. The man eagerly invited me and Dai Shuang onto the heated bed, lined with warm wool carpets. We sat in the guest of honor seats deep inside. The old lady and the wife hurriedly lit the fire, milked, and started making hot milk tea for the guests. As for the man, he went outside excitedly, and when he returned, in his hand, he was carrying a large air-dried leg of lamb. Throwing it onto the wooden board, he gestured for us to help ourselves and used the knife. But it didn't stop there. He even pulled a shiny dagger from his belt, determinedly heading straight for the sheep pen in the back. Seeing the way he brandished the knife, I knew the family respected us and was going all out, intending to slaughter a whole live sheep for the feast. I was startled, hurriedly jumping down from the heated bed. I rushed over and gripped his knife-wielding arm, waving my hand and hissing, "Whoa, brother, don't do that. This much dried meat is already more than enough to be stuffed. There's no need for the trouble of a grand slaughter of sheep or goats. We'll just have a quick bite of bread and leave immediately, as we still need to load firewood onto the truck to return before dark." Despite my best efforts to stop him, the man still struggled, refusing to give up his intent, insisting that it's disrespectful not to slaughter sheep for a guest's generous gift. The old woman, sitting nearby, also called out a phrase in Cossack, essentially urging her son to act quickly. The man tried to pull away from my grip again to move forward. While panicking and not knowing how to stop such fire enthusiasm, I glanced around the tent. Suddenly, my eyes fell upon an object lying near the stove. I hatched a plan and pointed straight at that object, saying loudly and clearly, "Brother, for my sake, don't slaughter the sheep. Actually, I came up here with a purpose. Give me that thing over there as a return gesture for the gift earlier, and I'll be perfectly satisfied." The man froze, lowered his knife, and looked where I was pointing. His face showed utter bewilderment and confusion. What I pointed at was a huge deer antler. I knew the opportunity to negotiate had come, so I loosened my grip on him and explained soothingly, "To be honest, I came from the lowlands just to buy that thing. This piece of horn, if taken to the collection station in the district, could be sold for a lot of money." The middle-aged man frowned, asking back half-doubting, "What, this dried bone can also be exchanged for money?" I nodded firmly, casually bragging and raising the price a bit. "Certainly, down there they pay 1 dong for 1.5 kilograms of deer horn. Just give me this antler and I've hit the jackpot." At this moment, the man finally believed completely, and he put his knife back into the scabbard. After thinking for a while, he went behind the tent wall. Not long after, when he returned, in his hand, he carried another deer horn and threw it on the ground, placing it next to the first one. I looked closely and realized immediately, although this second one was big, a small piece was broken. Its color was also duller, not as beautiful and not part of a set with the first one. The man pointed at a boy of about 5 or 6 years old sitting and gnawing on a cake on the heated bed and laughed loudly. "This antler was picked up by my grandson. A shepherd accidentally found it in the pine forest. Kept it hidden under the bed. Originally, we were short on firewood this afternoon, so we planned to take an axe and split it in half for the stove to stay warm." Originally, short on firewood this afternoon, we planned to take an axe and split it in half for the stove to stay warm. Originally, short on firewood this afternoon, we planned to take an axe and split it in half for the stove to stay warm. Hearing the words about splitting it for firewood, both Dao Dai Trang and I widened our eyes, frozen on the spot. Rare pieces of deer antlers worth a fortune. Yet this family intended to use them as firewood. Suppressing my pounding heart at such a windfall, I accepted the bowl of milk tea, piping hot and steaming from the wife's hand. Taking a sip, the strong tea blended with the rich milk flavor as it went down my throat. The bone-chilling cold instantly vanished, and my whole body felt a surge of warmth. Wasn't this feeling much more delightful and more regal 10,000 times over than gritting one's teeth to chew on a corn cake that's stone cold and hard in the snowy outdoors? Dao Dai Trang also carefully took a large gulp from his bowl, his eyes lighting up. I smiled slightly, and he leaned forward. Leaning close to my ear, he whispered in a low voice full of admiration, "Brother Long, did you calculate everything as precisely as a god, knowing all along that coming here would score us this pile of horns?" I smiled slightly and nodded, whispering back, that's right. This trip bringing the vehicle up here wasn't just simply for hauling a few pieces of dry, rotten wood, but the most important thing is finding a way to make connections and earn money. That's right, this trip bringing the vehicle up here wasn't just simply for hauling a few pieces of dry, rotten wood, but the most important thing is finding a way to make connections and earn money. Yes, that's right, this trip we brought the vehicle up here not just simply for hauling a few pieces of dry, rotten wood, but the most important thing is finding a way to make connections and earn money. These mountain nomads in the future, they know the terrain 100 times better than we do, holding many lucrative ways to make money that they aren't even aware of, while leisurely sipping a bowl of milk tea and chewing on a fragrant piece of naan bread. I quietly glanced around to observe the entire inner structure of the felt yurt. Suddenly, my gaze stopped at a pitch-black object hanging solemnly on the sheepskin tent wall, capturing my entire attention. I pointed at that object and curiously asked the host, "Brother, did you get that fancy item yourself?" The middle-aged man followed my hand, then proudly patted his chest with a thud, implying it was indeed his. The state issued it to our nomadic militia 2 years ago to protect the livestock. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Hallam. And you, friend from afar, what's your name? I patted my chest and announced my name, then pointed to the big fellow beside me. My name is Wei Long. And this big guy is named Dao Da Juan. Our hometown is way down in the village. It's a poor winter. We lacked firewood, so we decided to drive the cart here, gather some scrap wood to bring back for the little ones to keep warm. Seeing that in Hallam's kitchen, a few pieces of shiny black coal were burning brightly instead of wood, I probed, for information, Mr. Hallam. Coal burns so well. Did everyone pay out of pocket to buy it from the coal station? Hallam shook his head and waved his hand dismissively. We don't have money to buy it. I drove there myself to dig at the open pit coal mine on the mountain on the other side and brought it back. It's just that the way is quite far. It's about 1 km from here and steep with no trails for horse-drawn carriages to enter. Now that the snow is knee-deep, driving a cart there is even more treacherous and difficult. Hearing about the terrain distance, I sighed, showing clear disappointment and clicking my tongue. If there were a road for horse carriages to bring back black coal, it would be much more effective, and 10 times warmer than carrying wood. Hallam enthusiastically used a tiny dagger, swiftly slicing the dried mutton leg into thin slices. He arranged them beautifully on a tin plate and pushed it to the center of the table, warmly gesturing for us to give it a try. While chewing a piece of chewy, sweet dried mutton, I glanced at the item on the wall, curiously continuing the unfinished conversation. Mr. Hallam, now that you're equipped with such a fancy rifle, living in the forest, you probably aren't afraid of fierce wolves anymore. By the way, I've heard rumors that in this deep mountain area there are still wolf packs wandering, right? That shiny black thing hanging on the wall wasn't a toy, but precisely a Type 56 semi-automatic rifle. At the tip of the barrel, even a sharp bayonet was still attached, ready for combat. At the mention of wolves, the smile on Hallam's face vanished. His expression darkened, his voice dropping with indignation. Oh, wolves, yes, quite a lot actually. Those beasts are very cunning. The other night, they sneaked in and bit 3 of my sheep to death. On top of that, a few days ago, the snowstorm was so heavy it made things cold. 2 more lambs froze to death. Dao Dai Trang was chewing meat. Hearing that, he couldn't help but interject with a question. Wait, Brother Hallam, you have a rifle in your hand. Why don't you set an ambush and just shoot those wolves dead to blow off some steam? Hallam smacked his lips and let out a long sigh, helplessly pointing at the gun. Shoot with what? Faith, little brother. The gun is completely out of ammo. At the end of last year, my superiors issued me the gun, along with a measly handful of bullets. At the beginning of winter, I took the gun on patrol, encountered a destructive pack of wild boars, and I impulsively fired several magazines. So now the ammunition is completely depleted. Hearing this, Dao Dai Trang and I secretly exchanged a glance. An idea flashed through my mind. I put down my tea bowl, leaned forward toward Hallam and said seriously, Brother Hallam, what if I told you I could get some ammunition and a good rifle for you? The reason I dared to speak so boldly was because I knew well that every year in the autumn, my commune organized a live fire training session for the militia and self-defense forces. My gun, Long is still currently prominently on the core list of the production team, and he's also an excellent militia marksman tasked with competitive shooting. Leave ammunition used for practice after each training session. If cleverly hidden, then in my hands, there are currently over 10 rounds of Type 56 ammo, brand new and untouched. His eyes immediately lit up like torches. He excitedly grabbed my hand. Really, my friend? If you can really get me ammo to protect the livestock, I swear I'll catch the healthiest live sheep in the flock to trade for the ammunition with you. Between friends, who would be so calculating? No need for a live sheep. I quickly waved my hand, acting all generous and chivalrous. Between friends, who would be so calculating? No need for a lay of sheep. When I'm free, I'll bring the ammo up here for you. You just need to pull out those unlucky sheep that die from the cold for me, and that'll be enough. Actually, I know very well the customs of the ethnic minorities up here. Highland herders like the Kazakhs or Iders all follow religious beliefs. They absolutely never slaughter or eat buffalo, cattle, or sheep that are sick or frozen to death without being bled. But to a hungry lowlander like me, sheep frozen by snow or live sheep that are bled are both just meat boiled and dipped in chili salt. They're both incredibly delicious. Once back in the village, who would know how they die? Dai Trang, sitting next to me, was visibly excited upon hearing this, rubbing his hands together and muttering, "Oh my god. If I follow along and drag a whole big sheep back home, then no matter what, you will surely share a plump leg of lamb with me. Then we'll have stewed meat for Ted." Thinking of the prospect of a fragrant, greasy leg of lamb, Dai Trang couldn't contain his excitement, nudging me quite hard in the ribs with his elbow, and lowering his voice to boast, "Brother Long, my father also has those types of bullets hidden at the bottom of his chest." Hey, as if grabbing a lifeline, with an anxious and impatient face, pressed so. "So what's the earliest you can arrange to come back up here?" Every night the wolf pack howls to its pack in the pine forest. I'm extremely worried. I stroked my chin, pretending to think for a moment, then answered firmly, "Probably in just 3 days." I stroked my chin, pretending to think for a moment, then answered firmly, "Let's go the morning after tomorrow. I'll try to borrow a cart to drive up here very early. But today, I still have to go cut and haul a bunch of wood back for home use first. As for tomorrow, or the day after, whether I can borrow a pack horse from the team or not, I still don't dare to promise for sure. 100 yet. Fine. Then I will wait for you at the tent. At that time, I will definitely herd the sheep to trade with you. Frozen sheep are very smelly. I am determined to give you a whole, fat, live sheep as a gift to bond with you, my brother. Anyway, I'm not a saint who turns down money, but I hurriedly reached out to stop the excessive hospitality. No, it's really not necessary. Bringing a live sheep back to the village is a hassle. Actually, on this trip up the mountain, I have another important matter I want to ask for your help with. What is it?" "Just say it, brother," Hayan said generously. "This season, there will surely be times when wild boars run out of food and come down the mountain to cause trouble. When you ambush and hunt a wild boar, it's best to slaughter it for the meat. Remember to take the whole wild boar stomach, keep it and dry it for me. And the wolves too, if you shoot down a wolf. And you need to skin it to sell for money then. The wolf bone parts, including both bones and meat, filtered out along with various miscellaneous innards. Please gather them all and set them aside for me." After hearing this, Hain didn't understand why this Han guy was buying these scraps of bone and discarded organs for what on earth. But he was very cheerful, slapped his thigh, and agreed immediately. "Easy, all right, agreed." After finishing the big deal, I was happy to finish the last sip of hot milk tea, then stretched and stood up, dusting off my clothes and tilting my chin. I said. He dusted off his clothes and tilted his chin, saying, "I've had my fill. Now, Brother Hain, lead me to the back now, to see if those frozen sheep are still lying there." Hain nodded, carrying a long wooden stick, leading us around to the wild snowfield behind the yurt. The wind howled in freezing gusts. He used the wooden stick to poke and probe deep into the thick layer of snow. After laboring to dig for a long time, we finally dug up and found only the stiff carcass of exactly one unlucky sheep. Hain looked around the empty snowfield, shrugged, his voice sounding a bit regretful. "The carcasses of the others that froze to death must have been sniffed out by the hungry wolf pack last night. They've scavenged and carried them all off. They're all gone now." Boy frowned at the loss, then turned to ask Hay tentatively, "You're a local. Do you know where the camps of other nomadic herders are stationed on which mountains? But if they encountered a major blizzard like the other day, then I bet that the places of other families surely also have many frozen lambs scattered around. If you're free, could you ride your horse to ask around and help me collect more? I assure you I will buy them all. Using brick tea, refined salt, or other necessities to barter with them would be fine." "Sounds good. Early tomorrow morning I'll saddle my horse and go around to ask the households nearby." He immediately nodded in agreement. With the frozen lamb carcass deal finished, the initial main goal still had to be completed. Dai Trang and I climbed down to the bottom of the deep ravine, dragged 2 heavy iron axes down from the wagon, and began looking around for a spot with large pine trees toppled by the storm to start chopping firewood. Hay is a long-time resident. Even with his eyes closed, he is familiar with every corner of this mountain region, knowing exactly where there's more easy to get fallen wood. He enthusiastically led us there, winding through to a very deep dry ravine. Hay, as a long-time resident, is familiar with every nook and cranny of this mountain region even with eyes closed. Arriving, Hay used a stick to point at the jumbled pile buried under the thick white snow, explaining, The rainstorm at the end of last autumn once caused a massive flash flood pouring down from the peak. This ravine is exactly where many large logs swept away by the floodwaters drifted down and then got stuck here. You can dig up the snow to take a look. Hearing about wood, oh I try and geez. Eyes lit up like headlights. Immediately grabbing a shovel and rushing forward. He swung the shovel, clearing away the thick, fluffy snow. Took a quick glance, and his face instantly flushed with joy. Turning back to shout. Lawn. Oh my god, we've hit the jackpot this time. Just this pile of premium pine firewood taken home is enough for both families to cook and keep warm through several winters, no joke. Unlike I Tra and G's jubilant face. I, Lon, still didn't feel quite satisfied. I clicked my tongue, sighed, and muttered yeah, there's indeed a lot of wood, but too bad the coal mine on that cliff is too far and dangerous. Unlike I Tra and G's jubilant face. I still didn't feel truly satisfied. I clicked my tongue, sighed, and muttered. If I could find a way to hunt for some more coal, some blackstone to bring back, then the nest would be truly perfect. But regardless, the mood of both of us brothers is currently extremely excited. Both hands swung axes tirelessly. In my head, I was calculating jumping numbers. This amount of pine wood, let's not calculate its value for now. But if tomorrow I can really get more ammunition to trade for a few fat frozen sheep to bring back, I think the profit and income in just these few short days of mine would be much higher than several times the meager monthly salary of the workers who slave away in the city. Most importantly, this business line can be developed long-term, secretly and sustainably, as long as I grit my teeth and drive the cart for a few more trips up the mountain, waiting until the spring snow melts. More than an hour later, the horse-drawn cart, loaded with pine firewood and 2 frozen sheep, rolled into the district town. Looking at the clock, seeing that it wasn't time for the officials to get off work yet, I turned to say to Dao Dai Trang. Dai Trang, pull the cart over to the curb and then wait for me. We'll go to the purchasing station to sell these antlers first, then stop to buy a few things before going home. Dao Dai Trang nodded happily. Brother Long, you go ahead, I'll watch the cart. He sat perched on top of the pile of firewood, his eyes filled with pride as he watched me carry 3 antlers into the purchasing station. This time the person at the counter was still the staff Tran Hong Quan. Seeing me carry the antlers in, he, who was packing up his books to leave, suddenly stopped. Secretly happy inside, but on the outside, he still tried to maintain the calm of a state official. Young comrade, you came here this morning to sell rat skins, right? Found some good stuff again? Hello, comrade. I want to ask if you buy these antlers here. I placed the antlers on the glass counter and smiled faintly. Yes, we certainly do. Tran Hong Quan hurriedly picked one up, turning it over to examine it under the light. Inspecting it closely, he then nodded. Looking at this pair of antlers, the one found in the mountains is quite intact. The quality is not bad, but the other one is a bit chipped. I knew all about the price-cutting tricks of those buyers, so I crossed my arms and impatiently asked directly. Just tell me the price, how much per kilo? Tran Hong Quan clicked his tongue, pretending to calculate. This pair of antlers likely fell off last autumn. I'll pay you 3 dong per kilo. It is not little, that's the ceiling price. This price of 3 dong per kilo was actually much higher than my initial expectation. Trying to hide my joy, I nodded decisively. Fine, settle on this price. Weigh it. Tran Hong Quan pulled out the scale, carefully placed the antlers on it and squinted to read the number. 6.7 kilos. Let me calculate for you. 3 times 6 is 18. Totaling 20 dong and 1 hao. Here's your money, count it carefully. 6.7 kilos. Let me calculate for you. 3 times 6 is 18. Totaling 20 dong and 1 hao. Here's your money, count it carefully. I took the stack of money, counted it once and tucked it safely in my inner pocket. Just as I turned around to leave, Tran Hong Quan hurried to lean out and call after me. Young man, if you have good stuff from the mountains, bring it here. I'll give you the best price. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays every week I'll be here at this counter. Agreed. I waved my hand and strode out. I walked to the front of a horse carriage. I pulled out a crisp 5 dong bill and handed it to Dao Dai Trang. Dai Trang, this is your share, take it. I'll let you take some more wood home when we head back. Seeing the large bill, Dao Dai Trang was startled. He immediately pulled his hand back, pushing the money back to me, and flatly refused. Brother Long, I can't take this. I just came to lend a hand, pulling a few logs. How could I take cash from you? Besides, if I have this money on me, my dad will definitely search my pockets and take it when I get home. I won't be able to keep a single cent. Thinking about it, Dai Trang was right. Old man Dao Keen Thiet was so greedy. Giving him cash was like throwing it to a hungry tiger. So I changed my mind. Then let me buy you some supplies. Once things are bought, Your dad can't strip them off to sell or take them away. You're working for hire without even a pair of gloves. Look at the bloody frost cracks on your hands. Was that without giving him a chance to refuse? I pulled Dai Trang straight to the department store. Seeing that the shop assistants were about to get off work, I didn't have time to choose carefully. I scanned quickly, pulled out 4 dong to buy a brand new pair of rabbit fur gloves with high quality straps and threw them to him. Put these gloves on to stay warm. And definitely don't refuse. Give it to your brother or someone else. When we get home later, I will give you a kilogram of bread to take back to your old man. Consider it payment for hauling wood. That way your father will also have something to eat and won't scold you anymore. Dai Trang tremblingly put the soft rabbit fur gloves, warm onto his rough, chapped hands. The silly boy's eyes turned red, nodding repeatedly. Thank you, Brother Long, it's so warm. After that, the two of us climbed onto the horse cart, cracked the whip, and clattered back to the production team. The horse cart, heavily loaded with goods, arrived near the V family gate. Many curious people in the village ran after the cart to watch the commotion. The sound of whispering and discussion rose loudly. Oh my, V Long actually managed to haul firewood back. This whole car of firewood is quite a lot, isn't it? It looks like several hundred kilograms, all good pine wood. If burned sparingly, it should be enough for 1 or 2 months. This whole car of firewood is quite a lot, isn't it? It looks like several hundred kilograms, all good pine wood. If burned sparingly, it should be enough for 1 or 2 months. I didn't expect that loafer, V Long, would actually accomplish something. Oh my, V Long actually managed to haul firewood back. This whole car of firewood is quite a lot, isn't it? It looks like several hundred kilograms, all good pine wood. If burned sparingly, it should be enough for a month or 2. My nephew, Wei Qian, was inviting his friends to play marbles. Standing on the dirt road, seeing Dao Dai Shuang and me driving the horse carriage back. He threw away his marbles and rushed over, running alongside the carriage. I chuckled and reached into my pocket, taking out a fragrant toasted sesame cake and giving it to him. Eat this as you go. Hurry back and tell eldest brother Wei Jiangguo. Tell him his youngest uncle is back with a wagon full of wood. Wei Qiang took a big bite of the cake. He excitedly agreed, and then bolted into the yard. Hearing the news, eldest brother Wei Jiangguo, who was weeding baskets, hurriedly tossed his tools aside and ran out to meet us. He waited for me to drive the carriage into the yard and then asked anxiously, Zhao Long, was the trip smooth? Did you run into any danger? I jumped down from the carriage and replied with a bright smile. It was very smooth, brother. And we even have another extremely valuable harvest. Wei Jiangguo stepped closer, looking me over from head to toe, then glancing at Dao Dai Shuang. Seeing that the two of us were unharmed without any injuries or frostbite, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. We heard about the other harvest. He curiously stood on his tiptoes to look into the wagon. What harvest? Could he have picked up a rabbit or a wild pheasant? When a layer of burlap sacks was flipped open, 2 frozen sheep carcasses were revealed. The crowd of villagers watching busily outside the fence gasped in surprise. Good heavens, real sheep. Did V Long really find real sheep? Such incredible luck. But could they be sheep poisoned by bait? Sister-in-law 6 jealously made a sarcastic remark. I calmly turned to my eldest brother, intentionally speaking loudly for the gossipy crowd outside the fence. Dear eldest brother, these sheep weren't just found. Yesterday, I sold a muskrat skin for 5 yuan. Used that money to buy brick tea and refined salt. Then drove the car deep into the mountains to trade with the nomadic herders. These 2 sheep froze to death during the recent heavy snow. They were only thrown out about 3 to 5 days ago. The meat is still fresh and good to eat. Hearing that, the envious crowd finally quieted down, no longer daring to make snide remarks, and eventually dispersed. Seeing that no one was watching anymore, I said, eldest brother, let me drive the cart to take half of this wood to Dai Trang's house first, and then return the cart to the stable on the way. I also didn't forget to take a caddy of sesame cakes, just bought, and stuffed them into Dao Dai Trang's hand. At this moment, Dao Dai Trang joyfully hugged the sesame cakes, carrying several large pine logs on his shoulders into the Dao family yard. He intended to offer the cakes to make his father happy. But as soon as he stepped inside, old man Dao, Keen Thiet, pointed right at his face and scolded him harshly. Useless brat. You followed him through the wind and frost all day. And in the end, you only brought back a few pieces of rotten wood and these stale sesame cakes. I heard the villagers gossiping loudly that Wei Long even found a sheep. Why isn't there a share of the sheep for our family? You're so stupid, you let him swallow it all. Dai Trang was stunned by the scolding. It took a moment for him to recover, then he resentfully argued that that sheep was bought by Brother Long with his own tea and salt to trade with people. So of course it belongs to him. I only followed along to help with the carrying. Brother Long was even kind enough to buy me a brand new pair of rabbit fur gloves. Following him, I ate my fill. But at home, not even a grain of cold rice went into my stomach. Even the string of fish I brought back yesterday, I didn't even get to have a single bite myself. Dao King Thiet was so angry he could spit blood. He had been excited, thinking his son would bring back mutton no matter what. Unexpectedly he didn't bring meat and even dared to talk back, stubbornly, sending blood rushing to his brain. Dao Qingfei grabbed the tobacco bite and struck it straight down on Dao Daitrang's back. You just went out to mess around. It's only been 2 days and you think you've grown wings, don't you? You dare talk back to your father? If you're so capable, then get lost and follow him. As long as you are in this house, then I am the one who makes the decisions. Dao Daitrang panted with resentment, his hands clenched into fists, but he didn't dare hit his father back. He could only stand there and take it. Right at that moment, a knock sounded at the Dao family's door. Knock, 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 knock. Who is it? Dao Qingfei snapped irritably. Uncle Qingfei, it's V Long. My voice rang out from outside the gate. Dao Qingfei immediately felt the pain of guilt. Just a moment ago, he was loudly cursing and bad-mouthing him. Now the man was standing right outside the door. He was flustered and could no longer scold his son, so he just glared at Daitrang, signaling him to open the door. Dao Daitrang resentfully pulled the bolt. I walked in, my hand carrying a plump leg of lamb dangling, wrapped in dry leaves, smiling as I said, Uncle Qingfei, the sheep at my house has been slaughtered. This fresh leg of lamb is the payment for Daitrang's hard work. Best assured, this mutton is good and safe to eat. My family is also cooking lamb organ soup tonight. Seeing the bright red leg of lamb, Dao Qingfei was so ashamed his face flushed hot. The wife hurriedly sat up from the heated bed, rubbing her hands with a warm smile. Oh me, Xiao Long, you're being too polite. Even troubling yourself to bring a leg of lamb all the way here. Come in quickly and have some water first. I waved my hand, making an excuse to leave. No, I won't stay. I still have to run over to Captain Hua's house. I want to use the horse carriage tomorrow, so I have to go let him know. Dao Zhuang, wait for me tomorrow morning. Having said that, I turned and walked straight away. Dao Zhuang stood watching me go, eyes brimming with emotion, moved by my protection. I continued on, carrying another leg of lamb hidden behind my back, walking through the snow straight to Captain Hua Qingjin's house. We saw me place the massive leg of lamb on the table. Hua Qingjin hesitated slightly, swallowed, and said, Xiao Long, this. If you want to borrow the horse carriage, just calculating the work points like yesterday is enough. Why such a heavy gift? I pointed at the leg of lamb and smiled reassuringly. Captain Hua, don't be modest. This leg of lamb is very clean. It's from an unfortunate sheep that froze to death on a mountain. My family is also butchering it to make offal soup. It's very good to eat, uncle. As for the carriage rental, business is business. Here's 1 yuan and 60 cents for tomorrow. I'll leave it with you. Hua Qingjin saw that I was sensible. He was extremely satisfied with a clear distinction between public and private matters. Taking the money, he instructed. Just leave the money there. I'll write the dispatch note for you. But tomorrow, please make an effort to switch to the other brown horse. Okay, the one used today for the heavy load needs to rest. I'll do exactly as you say, Captain. I smiled brightly and took my leave. At the same time, at the Wei family home, sister-in-law, Liang Yuanmei was ladling steaming lamb organ soup, exclaiming to her husband, Look, Xiao Long has truly changed a lot. Even regarding borrowing the carriage tomorrow, he had the foresight to plan ahead and even knew to bring a leg of lamb to bribe the captain's family. I wonder if the captain's family, being officials, would dare to eat a sheep that froze to death. Li Jianyuo smacked his lips, busy deboning the lamb, and replied, With meat this fresh, why wouldn't they dare to eat it? In these hard times, any sheep is still a sheep. Liang Yuanmei smiled, her face radiant. This winter our family has lamb, fish to eat, and no shortage of firewood either. We can have a proper Lunar New Year. Xiao Long is so capable now. Goodbye. Is everything settled, Xiao Long? I pushed the door open and entered, bringing in the outdoor chill. Just in time to hear my sister-in-law's praise. Wei Jianyuo stopped storing the meat, looked up and asked, Is everything settled, Xiao Long? It's done, brother. Tomorrow morning I'll have a carriage to head out again. As I spoke, I pulled a crisp new 10 yuan bill from my pocket and stuffed it into Liang Yuanmei's hand. Sister-in-law, this is the 10 yuan I earned from selling deer antlers today. Take it to help with the household expenses. Liang Yuanmei was startled and quickly waved her hand. No, I can't take this money. You already gave 10 yuan to buy coal before. The family isn't that short on money right now. You worked hard, just keep it for yourself. But I firmly pressed the money into her hand. Sister-in-law, please just take it. Wan and Changqiang are at the age where they're growing fast. Keep it to buy more clothes or books for the kids. Seeing my firm attitude, Liang Yuanmei looked at her husband inquiringly. Wei Jianyuo smiled and nodded. Since he gave it, just keep it. He is grown up now. Xiao Long, what was it you wanted to talk to me about? I pulled my eldest brother to a corner and whispered. Eldest brother, I went over to the herdsman's place today. They have rifles but have run out of ammunition. I heard there's a wolf pack in the mountains harassing and taking their sheep. I remember you still have some Type 56 rounds from target practice. Could you give me a few, so I can trade them for live sheep with them? Hearing this, Wei Jianyuo didn't hesitate for a second. He immediately stood up and went straight into the bedroom. He busily rummaged through the bottom of a chest, took out a heavy oil paper bundle, and carefully handed it to me. There are about a dozen more bullets in here, you should take them all. Be careful, don't let outsiders know about the guns and ammunition. When sister-in-law Liang Yuame found out I cleverly traded for the sheep from the Hangs, she said with deep emotion. They acted so kindly to give us the sheep. We truly must thank them properly. Next time you go up there, remember to buy some good tea and pastries to give to their family. I understand, sister-in-law. There are many valuable things in the mountains. Once we find more good things later, our family will surely be better off, I replied with a bright smile. I got it. During dinner that evening, the whole family gathered to sip the fragrant sheep offal soup under the flickering oil lamp, listening to eldest brother Wei Jiangyuo patiently teaching niece Wei, Quinn and nephew Wei Qian some chicken and rabbit in the same cage math riddles. My heart suddenly surged with a strange sense of peace. This is the simple happiness that I personally destroyed in my previous life. After cleaning up and returning to the east room, I began to calculate today's earnings. The money from selling the deer antlers, minus the money for sesame cakes, tea, salt, and a pair of gloves for Da Xuan. 1 dong plus the 10 dong I just gave to sister-in-law. Now the remaining cash in my hand is still less than 10 dong. But in return, I have a pack of bullets my brother gave me for a very profitable trade. Tomorrow, no matter what, I'll manage to bring back 1 or 2 frozen sheep. I can leave them at Hai's place for now, and then exchange them with other livestock owners. I glanced at the clock, it wasn't even 10 p.m. My body was tired, but my mind was alert, not yet sleepy. While lying there, thinking of how to kill time with my arm over my forehead. At the yard gate, there was suddenly the sound of dogs barking frantically, and the sound of stealthy footsteps on the snow. I frowned and put on my cotton coat properly. I opened the door and slipped outside. Under the cold moonlight, a figure stood huddled and timidly at the gate. Seeing the slender figure, I recognized it was a girl. I cleared my throat and asked, "Who's there? It's late, who are you looking for?" Hearing my voice, the girl startled and stepped back, her voice trembling. It's me, Gu Xiaogu." I recognized her instantly. Gu Xiaohu, she was the only female university student in our production team, and the beloved daughter of old teacher Gu Boyuan. In these years of the 80s, let alone passing university entrance exam, even middle school students were considered intellectuals by the whole village, as educated people. In my memories of my past life, Miss Tiu Ha was a gentle girl, beautiful but with a tragic fate. It seemed she was relentlessly pursued by the thug Ko Nhi Mao, who wouldn't let her go. Finally, forced by circumstances, she had to resign herself to marrying him. Afterward, because she was brutally beaten at home, she had to file for divorce. After that, I never heard any more news about her. At this time, eldest brother V King Kwok heard a noise and opened the door of the main house to come out. Seeing that the visitor was Ko Tiu-ha, he was surprised, but still kindly asked, "Is that you, Tiu-ha? What brings you here so late? Come inside quickly to get warm. Has your father's illness improved at all?" Miss Tiu-ha rubbed her freezing hands together, her face flushed with embarrassment, her voice tiny as a mosquito's buzz. "Is that you, Tiu-ha? What brings you here so late? Come inside quickly to get warm. Has your father's illness improved at all?" "Yes, Uncle King Kwok." "Hello, Uncle. I heard the village say your family has mutton, so I traveled all this way to ask to buy some from your family. My father has been seriously ill and bedridden lately. I want to stew some soup to nourish him and help him sweat out the cold." Hearing that, Wei Jiangyuo showed a look of distress and asked concernedly, "Is your father sick? What's wrong? Have you called a doctor or given him any medicine yet?" Gu Xiaohu shook her head, tears welling out. "My father stubbornly says he's fine, just a chill from the wind and frost, and refuses to spend money on medicine. Yesterday, we didn't have much firewood left, so my father tried to go out and chop wood. He sweated and caught a draft, so he's now severely chilled." Wei Jiangyuo didn't say another word. Hurriedly turning back into the kitchen, he took a knife and carved a fresh piece of lamb leg, wrapped it carefully in banana leaves, then came out and handed it directly to me. He winked and signaled Xiao Long, "Take this piece of meat and walk Xiao Yi all the way home. It's pitch black like this. It's not safe for a girl to walk on the deserted road alone." I nodded and ran back to my room to put on a wool hat. Carrying the piece of lamb, I headed outside. Seeing me following to protect her, Gu Xiaohu didn't refuse, just lowered her head and walked quietly beside me. We maintained a distance of about 1.5 meters. In these times, men and women shouldn't be too close, as public gossip is very terrifying. It's better to be careful and keep one's distance. To ease the awkward and silent atmosphere, I took the initiative to speak. "Miss, when did he fall ill?" Xiao Yi whispered as she walked yesterday. "He'll be fine once he sweats it out. Is there still cold medicine at home?" I followed up. "Yes, there's still a little left," she replied curtly again. For every question I asked, Xiao Yi gave a halting answer. Seeing the girl seem shy and reserved, I had nothing else to ask and fell silent. That eldest brother's Wei Jianyuo's idea to have me escort her was right. The desolate fields outside are unsafe. But the most dangerous thing in this village is the group of young hooligans. Idleness leads to trouble. They don't sleep at night, preferring to gather, lurk, and harass others' homes. My house is about 300 from the Gu families. Just as we reached the halfway point, near a dark turn by the tree line, I keenly heard from the opposite side not far away, the sound of rustling footsteps on the snow. Xiao He, walking behind me, was startled. She took a small step back, grabbing my sleeve with shallow breaths. I reacted immediately, stepping forward to shield her, puffed out his chest and shouted, a steely voice tearing through the night. Just as I let out a roar, a tall, thin black shadow hiding behind a tree flinched, turned around, and bolted away at full speed. It rushed off as if chased by a ghost, and quickly ducked behind someone's yard wall, then disappeared into the silent night. I squinted my eyes, watching it go, then turned to Gu Xiaoyi to reassure her. It's all right, don't be afraid. Gu Xiaoyi nodded, but her face was still pale, her hands trembling. Perhaps she knew all too well who that sneaky shadow was, and what kind of indecent things it planned to do to her on this deserted road. But she just didn't expect that the man named Wei Long, previously known as cowardly and useless, standing in front of her now would exude such powerful and reliable authority. Reaching the Gu house, I carried the meat inside. Seeing Teacher Gu, Uncle Yuan lying asleep on the bed. His face was deathly pale. I instructed Xiao Yi, remember to keep a pot of warm water by the bed. Then stew the mutton soup and make him eat it. Then drink plenty of hot water to sweat it out. He'll recover soon. After saying that, I placed the mutton on the table and turned to walk out. Seeing this, Gu Xiaoyi hurriedly chased after me to the gate, reaching out and fumbling through her pocket for a long time. Wait, let me get some money to pay you back. I raised my hand to stop her and smiled softly. No need. This was my brother's idea, a gift for your father's recovery. We won't take any money. Go in and take care of him. Returning on the freezing dirt road with the wind whistling in gusts, I walked along, lost in thought, recalling that sneaky dark shadow from earlier. Who on earth was that bastard, stalking Gu Xiaoyu? Why did the way he ran for his life look so familiar? Early the next morning, just as dawn broke, the sub-zero cold still filled every corner when I climbed out of bed. Leaving the warmth of the quilt, I shivered and went to the main house to wash my face and rinse my mouth. In the kitchen, the stove fire was already crackling. Sister-in-law Liang Yumei was busy, stir-frying vegetables, the scent of lard and onions wafting through. I sat at the table while eldest brother Wei Jianyuo was carefully using dry banana leaves to wrap some steamed cakes and sponge cakes into a bundle. Seeing him pack so much, I quickly spoke up. Brother, don't pack so much, I can't eat it all. Wei Jianyuo kept his head down, hands busily tying the string, and said warmly, working hard makes you hungry, so just bring a little more. It's okay if you can't finish it, just bring it back. Our family might be poor, but when traveling, you must be well prepared. At home, lacking something is easy to handle. But out there, with no village ahead, and no shop behind, getting hungry would be a huge trouble. Sister-in-law Liang Yumei, her hands constantly stirring the pan, also turned to side with her husband. Your older brother is right. Just bring a little more. I saved some stir-fried mutton from last night. You should take that along too. Eating your fill of meat will give you the strength to work. At this moment, little Wei Qiang, who was snuggled under the blankets on the heated bed, heard the word meat and poked his messy head out, sleepily and wheedlingly. Mom, I want to eat meat too. Sister-in-law Liang Yumei immediately gave her son a sharp glare upon hearing him, scolding him preemptively. Mom, I want to eat meat too. Eat. All you think about all day is eating. Wasn't the mutton leg last night enough for you? Your youngest uncle is going to do heavy labor, you know? All you know is eat. All you think about all day is eating. Wasn't the mutton leg last night enough for you? Your youngest uncle is going to do heavy labor, you know? Stay right there. The two children in the house both seemed very afraid of Luang and Naime. The ancients used to say strict father, gentle mother, but in their house, it was the complete opposite. After I finished washing my face, my sister-in-law brought out the leftover lamb offal soup from last night, specifically favoring me by scooping a large, overflowing bowl. There wasn't much left at the bottom of the pot, so she divided it equally between the two children. V Quan and V Quang each got a tiny bowl. We're almost all scooped into my bowl, watching Luong and Gai Mei's familiar way of sharing. As natural as her own breath, my nose suddenly stung. I sighed silently, using my chopsticks to take the fatty pieces of lamb offal from my bowl to share them back into V Quan and V Quang's bowls, then looked up and said with a smile, "Sipping the broth is enough for me. Sister-in-law, do you still think of me as a child? Let the two children have this offal." V King Kwok crunched on a piece of pickled melon, while laughing loudly. "In front of us, aren't you still just a child? How old are you really? But as long as you are married, you're still a child." Luong and Gai Mei saw me being generous to the children. Her eyes filled with joy and she smiled kindly. "Then wait until you two return this afternoon. This in translation Vaweo I Chai Uia. I'll make some fish soup for you to drink again. If I return this afternoon, who knows, I might even bring back another sheep. I winked if I can bring it back. Then I will take half of it as a gift to Uncle Luong at your parents' house." Hearing me proactively mention her family, Luong and Gai Mei and V King Kwok looked at each other, their eyes full of surprise and emotion. My sister-in-law quickly said, "No, there's no need. Van and Gok came by yesterday, and I told them to take a large string of fish to my parents already. Fish is fish, and meat is meat. Mutton has its own unique flavor, sister. Just let me handle it. I'll try to make a few more trips before Tet, and maybe I can even bring back a few more sheep. By then, both our family and your parents will have a very hearty Tet." In my heart, I remember very clearly that in the previous life the Luong family supported and helped my family quite a lot.